The biggest problem that guys have getting into mining is a place to go. Now you guys have, some of you fellas have expressed that to me right here, that one of the biggest problems that you had is when you got involved in prospecting is, where can I go and find some gold? I don't want to be a claim jumper. I don't want to be on somebody else's claim. I don't want to go into an area that's closed. And God forbid, Denver, I don't want to get into an area where they're going to fine me $200 for rolling over a rock. Well, the GPAA is working real hard to identify those areas, because there are some forests in the east that now allow gold panning. And Jake and those guys in that committee are working really hard to get sluices and dredges opened up. And I think in one spot in Georgia, they've got some national forest land back there that have been acquired that's not open to mineral entry, but they're going to allow recreational prospecting as one of the recreational allowable activities. And well, they should. And we're also getting a lot of private land opened up back east as well, because a lot of the good gold bearing areas on private land, a lot of those guys don't care if you go in there and pan or sluice in their stream, as long as you don't let out their cattle or dig holes that the cow's going to fall in, you know, and leave it unprotected. And then in other cases, we've got a whole industry that's growing up, like a cottage industry, like a bed and breakfast, if you will. That's where a guy pays a fella $10 to go out and dredge in his stream for a day, or $5 for sluicing. And there's a lot of that activity going on. That's up to a 3-inch dredge, and if you want to use a 4 or 5, then it costs you a little bit more. So we're listing those in there as alternatives for places for guys to go, and that whole thing's catching on, and it's really working well. And what we're doing is we're introducing a lot of people into their heritage, their past, because I believe that there's a prospector in everybody's soul. I mean, anybody that has ever seen gold in the pan like you guys have, you know what I'm talking about. God, the first time you're out there and that nugget or piece of gold pops up in that pan, it's a feeling like nothing else in the world. You're a mining man forever. And let's face it, you're either a farmer or a miner, because if you can't grow it, you got to mine it. And that's where everything comes from in this world. The guy sitting there working the computer wouldn't be working it if it wasn't for a farmer or a miner, because he's got to eat to sit there, and a miner's got to mine the stuff for him to do. And those circuits are made out of gold, a lot of them. So anyway, if you have any questions about the mining laws, yes, sir.
What do they consider assessment if you stake a claim, and are you allowed to put any type of a...
Well, it's a prima facie law, and that means that if you file the paperwork, generally it's accepted that you've done the assessment work. Assessment work can be anything to the improvement of the claim itself, and your labor is certainly included, and $100 is not very much. Some people make $150 an hour. My attorney makes $300 an hour, so he would only have to work about 15 minutes to do the assessment work, I suppose. But me, I figure go out there for 2 or 3 days and do some improvements and test for the gold and improve the claim, and that's all considered assessment work. Yes?
Do you have to do all the surveying again over on reclaiming an abandoned claim?
If you claim an abandoned claim, yes, you should walk along and put up the markers. And in Nevada, they're really sticklers over there about making sure your markers is up, and the BLM is getting to be real sticklers on that. And you want to use the marker, the post. I know it came into vogue, they were using these plastic posts, but if you use a plastic post to mark your claim with, you should put a cap on it. The mining law requires a 4x4 post 4 foot tall. And there's been a lot of revisions to that, because you see, when the general mining laws of 1872 was accepted and voted on by Congress, there's some language in there that the old mining district law supersedes this law. So you'll find that there are certain mining districts where that the staking requirements are different. But if you follow the guidelines set down by the 1872 mining laws, a 4x4 post, 4 foot tall, is generally accepted most everywhere. And then to sharpen the end of it and poke it in the ground, and you don't have birds getting caught in there and killed and stuff like that.
You have to resurvey it with a surveyor? Or?
No, you do not have to survey a mining claim. What you do is you do the best you can. You do the best you can with your markers. Use a USGS map, and we got some real good classes that are coming up this fall. If any of you get down in Temecula, we've got a nice meeting room down there, and I'll send notices out. They'll be in the magazine. We're having a lot and these classes are free, and they're on how to read USGS maps, and they really get into staking the find. They show you the claims forms and everything, which I don't have down here with me, of course.
What do you do if you buy a claim? How do you go about?
Well, you still are required to go out there and make sure that the markers are up on a claim. And remember, there's a lot of people that have bought mining claims. Now, you know, let's say I had a mining claim out here and I'm working the claim and I file a plan of operations with the Forest Service and I'm going to be working it and I've got a little tractor and a backhoe, and part of my plan of operations calls for me having a cabin there on the claim. And I've posted the bonds and I've schmoozed the Forest Service and they say, okay, under your plan of operation you're permitted to have this cabin there and you're permitted to do this small mining operation that you're doing. And I'm working this and I'm living in that cabin. And let's say some school teacher from Los Angeles comes along and I want to sell my claim and he wants to move in there and send his kids to school down here and live out in the mountains. And I sell him my mining claim, give him a deed on it. He's paying taxes to the county. What he's paying is personal property tax to the county. Now, he doesn't file a plan of operation. He's not mining. He's residing on a mining claim. He's doing it illegally. You understand what I'm saying, and how a lot of people can get into a lot of problems with that? Because if you don't understand the mining laws, you're taking a real risk in purchasing a mining claim, because your rights are no better than year to year filing your assessment work. And if you buy a mining claim, you should make sure that whoever's selling it to you takes you out there and shows you the minerals that's on it, so that you know that you can meet this prudent man rule. Because every now and then the Forest Service, the BLM, will send their geologists around to do a validity test. They used to do a lot of them. We had a lot of problems with guys going out and filing a mining claim that were not miners and growing dope in the national forest. And this created a great problem for the Forest Service. And they couldn't look at you and tell whether you were a legitimate miner or dope grower. So they'd run a validity test on everybody's claim to try to eradicate these guys off of the forest, and it was a problem. And you know, because see, if you're growing dope in your backyard, the DEA can confiscate your house. But if you're growing dope out in the national forest, they can't confiscate federal ground. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's why that became a fairly popular thing, especially under these seizure laws that we've allowed to come down, that I have some real problems with, and I'm sure that a lot of Americans do, because that kind of goes around the Constitution and due process when they're allowed to seize property without bringing even charges in some cases. You know, I'm absolutely against any person taking anything, alcohol or anything, that would detriment himself and others. I think that's a foolish, stupid thing for a person to do, but we all do foolish, stupid things. You know, and I do on occasion myself. But for the kids, these teenagers, to be plagued by people trying to sell them dope and stuff, they're impressionable. And if you're a teenager and you're out there and you're watching this group of guys here, there are some people that are really interested in your future. And don't let the dopers and all of these media blitz people look at these guys. You don't see anybody here with baggy pants on. Things are going to get better for you. You know, you don't have to get caught up in today's society, because there is a group of men that walk to their own drummer, that truly walk to their own drummer, and I don't see an unhappy guy down here. Is there? I mean, that's a real message for these teenagers today. And if there's no other message that we give to you kids, there are a group of men that care about your future. And you may be out there without a daddy or something, but I tell you what, you get out and do some prospecting and you'll take a whole new lease on life. We had a bear visit you guys last night, didn't we? Huh? That'll make you suck it up. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been real kind to visit with us here today on the Motherlode trip. We'll be back tomorrow. If you didn't like our show, you can always switch the channel. But we're grateful to have you. And if you haven't joined the Gold Prospectors Association, get up and go over to the phone and call in and talk to Dolores or one of those girls down there and send her your $67.50. You'll be real happy with that mining guide and the gold pen, the snuffer bottle, the subscription to the magazine, the pick and shovel newspaper, and what else, Paul? Information service, a patch for your jacket, a hat like these guys are wearing here. Yeah, so just do it. It only hurts for a little while. It's only money, you know, and it's a whole lifetime of entertainment. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good time. Thanks for tuning in.